Hi, I'm Doug Kalajian. Welcome to the ArmenianKitchen.com, where today we are making Hoom Kufteh, or Chi Kufteh, or maybe it's Armenian sashimi, I don't know. Whatever you want to call it, it is raw beef mixed with bulgur. In the old country, of course, this would be made with lamb. Here, we usually make it with beef for the simple reason that we can get fresher beef. And it's very important that you use the freshest meat you can possibly get. I'm using London broil that I got this morning from a very good butcher that we trust, and that's very important. You've read a lot recently about the dangers of raw and undercooked meat. Often these stories involve ground meat, especially ground beef, and the reason is beef can become contaminated in the handling and processing. That's why it's important that you use the freshest meat possible and that you grind it yourself if you possibly can. If you leave it to somebody else, especially if you buy ground meat in a package, you don't know how that meat was handled. You don't know what went through the machine before it. So, if you can, grind the meat yourself at home, and remember, grind it 3 times because this has to be very tender. I'm going to trim this piece of meat very carefully. I'm going to cut out all of the veins, and I'm going to cut out as much of the fat as possible, and then we're going to grind it. So here's our ground meat. You can see it's very fine. We used a food processor. If you have one, they work great. If you don't, and you have a meat grinder or an attachment for your mixer, that works great too. Of course, if you were a really skilled chef in the old country, you would do this just with your knife, but we're not in the old country. All right, this is one of the easiest preparations. Like every other Near and Middle Eastern recipe, there are 1,000 variations. Many people like to put onion and pepper and other ingredients right into the meat mixture. I like to keep it very simple. This is the way our family did it. I'm using the ground meat. I'm using #1 bulgur that has been soaked for the time it took me to prepare the meat. And I'm going to use just about a ½ cup of raw bulgur for a little over a pound of meat. Again, the proportions vary by recipe. Many people like less bulgur, some people like more. It's entirely up to you. And the only other ingredient is my spice mixture, which is salt, black pepper, red pepper, and freshly ground coriander. So, here we go. I just put the meat in the bowl. I add the bulgur, which, as I said, has been soaked. Then, the spice mixture. Make sure your hands are very clean so that you're not contaminating the meat. And here we go. Just toss and mix. Now that I have the meat and the bulgur thoroughly mixed, I shape them. And really all I do is take a palm-sized bit of the mixture, roll it like a meatball, and then roll it the other way until it forms something that looks sort of like a sausage. And then plate it up. And there you have it, Hoom Kufteh, Chi Kufteh. This is fantastic, served with just onion and parsley. It's great as a meal. It's great as an appetizer, served with drinks. It's a real Armenian treat. Just keep in mind that yesterday's fresh meat is tomorrow's not so fresh meat. So make as much as you can eat in one sitting, and if you have any left over, it's fantastic fried with eggs. That's my tip. I'm Doug Kalajian. Please visit us at www.thearmeniankitchen.com for this and many more recipes.